Inflation just hit 9.1%. We are moving into a full-fledged recession. And you know what? It's hurting all sorts of people, including business owners. And you know what? Harvard Business Review and Forbes have come out with all sorts of suggestions. How are entrepreneurs supposed to weather the storm? As a guy who owns hundreds of businesses, you gotta imagine this is top of mind for me. So today, I'm making a video for all my business owners, all my real estate business owners. I'm gonna show you guys not just how to weather the storm, but how to come out on top.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Gotta tell you, you should never waste a recession. You only get 2 or 3 of them in your working life. And so while there's a lot of panic and there's a lot of worry, that should honestly be reserved for the people that don't know how to adapt and the people that don't know how to change. A recession is actually a really exciting time because what it does is it means that the old ways of doing things don't work very well because the economy is verklempt and people are holding onto their money. Consumer confidence is low, the NASDAQ is down, and bottom line is people are scared. And when people are scared, they start doing the wrong things. They're like ostriches who bury their heads in the sand. They wave that big meaty part out for the tiger to come and like take a big chunk out of it. Reality is this is actually the time for innovation and disruption because new problems have emerged in this new economy. And if you get your handle on what they are and how to solve them, the spoils of war and business in the new economy when spring emerges will be reserved for those that come out on top because they innovated, they changed, they adapted. So today we're going to be reviewing a combination of Forbes and Harvard Business Review's best practices, and I've basically consolidated it into 5 business pivots for you to stay ahead of the curve. We're definitely playing in a different kind of recession than we saw at the Great Recession of 2008. I was there. I saw what created that economy. And within the first 5 years, while everyone said stay out of real estate, I made my investors over $100 million because I ran in the opposite direction. I'm telling you, when the market bottoms out, some of your biggest opportunities are exposed, but you have to be looking for them instead of watching the media, reading the news, and literally getting neurotic and insecure, full of fear. As of June 2022, the year-over-year PPI, or Producer Price Index, has increased 11.3%, as in those who are supplying product to the world, we've seen our costs increase by 11+%. The last time the world saw a jump that size was back in 2008, just before the Great Recession. Unlike 2008, however, today's approaching recession will also include volatile labor markets and constrained supply chains. Many entrepreneurs are really unsure on how to weather this rising storm because we've just gone through the Great Resignation, right? The last year it's been so hard to hire people and find talent, and we're about to go through a mass firing with unemployment jumping through the roof. Things are super volatile, and the question is, how do you navigate it?
And I'd really appreciate it if you could give me directions back onto the expressway.
What, for free?
Sure.
Listen up, business owner or future business owner, the first thing that you need to do is you gotta get spending visibility. You can't afford to look at your P&Ls and financials once a month or once a quarter. Right now, you need to look at your daily run rate. You need to know, what do you have in the bank account, what are your receivables, and what's going out the door. And I'm gonna share with you that the more often you measure something, the easier it is to have opportunities to change, to improve things. So why do you look at it every single day? Because if you don't want to get caught having a lot less money in the bank, needing to make some drastic decisions. Since inflation makes it more challenging to remain profitable, it's critical to establish repeatable, end-to-end, actionable visibility of spending. Managers should be fully aware of where money is spent and verify that all decisions are made knowing the full impact on profit and losses. There are projects that you were working on pre-recession that you thought were good then. They may not be good anymore because what was good then may very likely not be good now. You have to redirect your focus, and that starts by first a consolidation, looking at your spending and bringing it in tight and becoming a lean, mean machine. And then once you've surveyed the lay of the land, it's now starting to redeploy money again on the projects that you know or believe will work in the new economy. The truth is, you might be too fat and sassy for the new economy that we're moving into, and it's time to lean up. And you won't really know where to lean up without disturbing profitability unless you're really connected with the spending. So don't take for granted any decisions that you made in the past, because remember, the economy moves from spring to summer to fall to winter. And we're in winter. And right now, this is the biggest change season than any of the others. Spring, summer, fall, winter reset. Spring, summer, fall. And it can take 15 years before you hit that full cycle. So just even what was right 2 months ago or 2 years ago is likely going to be drastically different. Reevaluate everything, start watching where the money is flowing, and then rebalance your choices. The second thing that you need to do, according to the Harvard Business Review, is you got to unpack the drivers of spending. What that means is we spend money as business owners as investments to get an ROI. If I take this money right here and I allocate it towards these employees and towards these projects, it's supposed to produce revenue for me. If all of a sudden you just start cutting your spending, you literally might be cutting off your head by cutting off your profits. So you got to get super strategic. Check it out. Develop a robust understanding of the real drivers of cost. For example, one energy company conducted a full review of its softwares and identified more than 80 ways to save the company an annual $10 million a year. Learn where you can cut costs, but here's the point. You got to do it without decreasing profits. This is what it means to get lean. And to do that, you've got to understand, if I spend $5,000 on this, does it give me $5,000 back? Well, that's a net zero gain. Do I spend $5,000 on this and receive $50,000? Don't cut that $5,000 of spending. Likewise, in the shifted economy, you might be spending $5,000 over here and now losing $30,000. So you need to reevaluate your relationship of what you're spending money on to see what still makes sense, because the bottom line is everything has changed in the landscape, and some things that used to be good might now be bad. Who's bad? So Forbes came out, and they came out with number 3 here, which is eliminate work. And I'm going to say eliminate unnecessary work, as in eliminating work has the greatest impact and can take many forms. Hotels everywhere, for example, are limiting housekeeping by making it an opt-in versus opt-out service. Focusing on what adds the most value will cut costs and deploy scarce labor resources to what is absolutely necessary. In other words, there are some things that you can afford to go without. Do you know what those are? Do you know what you can get rid of that will actually preserve the company's profitability? And in the labor force, I want you to think of this. If your company has, for example, a 10% profit margin, it means that you have to bring in $1, but you only get to keep a dime of it. Well, you might find out that you can eliminate 10% of your costs, like Elon Musk. Throughout all of his companies, he's fired the top 10% of upper management. Let's just say that that led to an overall 10% company savings. Well, that's a full $1 of revenue that doesn't need to be brought in to actually just make a dime that you get to keep. That could literally double profitability in certain company situations. So look to your employees, look to all of your costs, and figure out, if we get rid of this, can we still maintain profitability, and can we still maintain it for the long run? Now we got to pause at this moment, and I got to share something really important with you. So far it looks like it's just cut, save, which can often be driven by fear. And what I need you to understand is that what you're doing is recalibrating as a company. You're pulling in your resources really tight. The goal is to redeploy, but it is to redeploy based on the new projects that are designed to be way more profitable. Those will likely be projects that are solving problems in the brand new recession. What are the problems that we have right now in this recession? Well, inflation is one of them. Your company might be able to create a hedge against inflation. One of my companies does that. If you're a subscriber on this channel, you know that I love investing in real estate. Guess what the wealthy and even the non-wealthy are doing? They understand that if you hold your money in 401ks and IRAs, these are soft accounts. And so if inflation has them lose their value by 9 or 10% a year, 5 years from now, you're going to lose almost half of your buying power, right? 10% times 5 years is 50%. On the other hand, the wealthy and those that want to become wealthy, they're stashing the money in hard assets, real estate being primarily one of them because it has a positive cash flow, has tax benefits. But what it does is it has an inverse effect. You see, when inflation goes up, properties skyrocket. So think about it this way. If I have $100,000 and I lose 10% of my buying power, that's like this year losing 10 grand of my $100,000. But on the other hand, if I take my 100 grand and I put it into real estate, let's say I spread it over 2 properties, and let's say that these properties go up 10%. Well, you might be thinking, wow, Kris, your 100,000 at a 10% increase now has 10,000 more. Well, that's not quite true. With real estate, if I'm using a 5-to-1 leverage, $100,000 will buy me $500,000 worth of real estate. So when $500,000 increases 10%, that's $50,000. Inflation on my cash can cost me 10 grand. That same year in real estate, I can make $50,000. That's a delta or a difference of $60,000. The 10,000 loss versus the $50,000 gain. The other thing that I want you to be aware of is that you should get pumped and excited about these changes. People that are fearful, they don't act fast enough. They definitely don't adapt fast enough. They tend to be into some level of denial when what your company needs right now and its employees need is leadership. That means you got to step up and have the courage to call the hard shots. Most companies have 3, 4, 5, 6 months of money in their war chest for their expenses. If you don't act fast enough and you burn through that and you've got no money left, now you're going to be forced to fire people, downsize, or maybe even close shop, all because you didn't accept what was actually happening. This recession is happening. This recession is here, and you have a choice. You can either be scared of it and act slow and bury your face in the sand, or you can say, wait a second. Yeah, it does kind of suck, but let's face the facts. Let's get lean. Let's do what we need to. And let's get positive. There's going to be brand new opportunities that we've been begging for, maybe even praying for, and they're likely to present themselves because that's what typically happens in a recession. Chances are the silver lining is far greater than whatever it is you're afraid of losing. If there was ever a time to utilize technology, this might be a really smart time for you. Check it out. By implementing simple digital solutions, you can reduce maintenance costs, improve efficiency, and increase employee productivity. Some companies have cut up to 30% of operating costs by implementing solutions such as online messaging services. There are so many options out there. Technology can do certain things that human beings can't. It can drive up efficiency. It can improve not just productivity, but also profitability. So now's a great time to start rethinking everything and saying, you know what? There was that team overseas that we could have outsourced to. There was the software we've been wanting to implement and we never got to it. But guess what? It just rose to the top of the list because it's going to support a $15,000 a month cut. We're going to save $170,000 a year. Maybe now is the time to do those kind of things. The last thing I'm going to share from Forbes here is super important because I'm going to tell you right now that positivity is definitely going to create an advantage for business owners that lean into that. But there's something else that you should consider, and it's the benefits of flexibility that allow you to become teachable and open-minded to new thoughts and ideas. It's a time to reinvent. That is what it means to constantly improve. That's what it means to innovate. You might even discover disruption in your industry where you can lead the charge and have 10 times or 1,000 times the opportunity you had always hoped for, which is why number 5 is be flexible. Agility and flexibility matter now more than ever before. If you're rigid in your approach, you might find yourself unable to grow or adjust as your business needs to evolve. As a business leader, make sure you stay flexible and open to new ways of doing things. And if you don't have much of a track record of thinking enough outside the box, there's probably never going to be a better time than now for you to find a business advisor, someone that has been through recessions, someone that actually can help you find and navigate your next big level up inside your company. In fact, I'll tell you, historically for me, years ago when I started using business advisors, giving them a small piece of equity so that they would consult with me, that is what's led to some of the biggest astronomical growth. So it didn't have to come from me. It came from being smart enough to look outside and find the experts to help me figure it out. Kris, how do I find a business advisor? Well, I'll tell you that you could go to Dr. Google, but if you are a loyal subscriber and you like my message, I might be that advisor for you. In fact, a business advisor can make all the difference in the world, and I've been able to do that for a number of companies. I'm taking my private jet on Wednesday to go down to Texas where I'm going to help my buddy. I've got a little bit of ownership in his company, and I've helped them triple their revenues in just the last 6 months. And so finding the right business advisor that understands your business, understands your industry, can make all the difference in the world. By the way, I've worked with Roland Frazier. He consults me on 30 of my different companies. He's had over 1,000 different exits. He's been an amazing consultant for me. And so if you don't know really where to start, then I want to recommend that you click the link below. You can fill out a form. You can explore what it looks like for me to be your business advisor. And if I can't help you in your industry with your type of business, I'm going to recommend others who can. Because for me, that little bit of an investment makes all the difference in 10xing or even 100xing my company. Click the link below if you want to see what that business advisor relationship might look like. You know, I didn't become a business advisor on accident. It happened because I had a lot of mentors and business advisors in my life over time, and they have advanced so much knowledge to me. It's made all the difference in the world. But I didn't really put myself in a position to be able even to find mentors and business advisors until I figured out how to even just make my first $1 million. Out of curiosity, do you know how I spent my first $1 million? Might be curious. Click this video, let me show you how. Fun trip. Inflation's on the rise, just came out this last month at a 9.1%. Dang it, don't have time for this. Ready? I got it. Inflation just hit